This month just gets more and more exciting. So for those who didn't watch, the Apple news event just finished happening, and today's the 12th. Usually around this time every year is usually when they announce the new iPhone, the new everything, the new Apple Watch, etc. And I watched it last year and watched it again this year, but before last year I never really watched it, and I'm really thankful that I did start watching them, just because of the simple fact that you learn a lot and you know what you're basically paying for. And honestly, this was a really dope event this time around, especially that it was in the Steve Jobs Theater, I believe, and it's the first time they ever do it there. So it was interesting to say the least. They did basically tease us. I'll tell you guys that a little bit later. But basically, they started off with the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is basically gonna be essentially another phone. I always thought that the way the Apple Watch would work, or was supposed to work, was that you could actually pick up calls through your Apple Watch, and I always thought that you could do that on Series 2. But up until recently, I honestly did not know that you couldn't, because I actually have an Apple Watch where I could try it out, and I found out that you actually can't pick up phone calls there. And honestly, the Apple Watch is not really all that crazy useful, at least for me, when it comes to most things, because you could only go on Instagram on it. You can't go on Snapchat. And it's also just really useful to see how many calories, how many steps you took. But besides that and the time, I don't really use it too much. It's always on my wrist, but I only look at it for the time sometimes, because most of the time I forget I have it on. But this time around, you can actually, it's actually gonna have a little SIM card where you can actually pick up phone calls, which is really crazy to think. Essentially, I'm not gonna need my phone. I'm gonna be buying 2 phones this year. And yes, that does mean that I'm definitely gonna be investing in the new Apple Watch and getting selling this one or giving this one to my little sister. Either one, we'll see when the time is right. Secondly, they announced the Apple TV, which is not too interesting, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's cool, whatever. They're including 4K HDR, this and that. It's gonna look good, this and that. But honestly, it's not anything that interests most of us. I don't generally watch TV. Apple TV is something that I'll definitely get if I do ever get a flat screen TV within my room. But as of right now, it's not something that I'm too interested in. But it was also really interesting to say the least. So if you're into that, go check it out. I'm sure they'll have a replay of the whole event somewhere on YouTube. And then lastly, it was the iPhone. This was the most interesting part about the entire thing, and obviously the main reason and the main attraction for most people, because besides the Apple Watch and the iPhone, those are the biggest 2 products for Apple, period. And they started off by saying that the iPhone 8, they showed it. It was nice. It was it's kind of like the iPhone 4, where it's glass in the front and glass in the back. It has a nice design. But the iPhone 8 was basically essentially a trick. They finished announcing the iPhone 8, and I thought they were basically gonna end the whole event, and then they came out of nowhere with basically a little secret, which is called the iPhone X, which is essentially the iPhone 10. So 10 years ago, I guess they started the iPhone, and they wanted to skip iPhone 9 since they weren't already at iPhone 9. They essentially skipped it, and they call it iPhone 10 now. So essentially, there's 3 different phones dropping this year. There's the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10. One is $699, one is $799, and one is $999. I'm obviously gonna get the iPhone 10 because I feel like it makes the most sense. If I'm gonna pay $800 for iPhone 8 Plus, when I could just pay an extra $200 and get the latest technology and basically the whole bundle, because the iPhone 8 and 10 both have wireless charging. The biggest difference between the 8 and the 10 is the fact that the screen on the 10 fills up the entire phone, and they have facial recognition. That's probably the coolest 2 features they've ever added. Obviously, we've always wanted a bigger screen, but it's also kind of weird because they removed the home button on the iPhone 10. So ultimately, the decision is between: do you want facial recognition? Do you want no home button? Do you want a full screen? And just overall, a lot of it is going to come up to preference whenever it comes to purchasing these iPhones, like it always has been. And now we have 3 different options. Obviously, I'm going to go with the iPhone 10 because it's, it brings every single thing. It brings the facial recognition. They also have this brand new portrait feature when it comes to pictures, basically I can be pointing the camera at somebody, for example, and I can turn off all the background light, and this will be completely black, like if I'm at a studio, which is a really cool feature. Whenever I do get this new iPhone, I'm probably gonna vlog here and there, just because I feel like the quality on this phone is actually gonna be up to par, and I can actually record in 4K, which is really crazy to think that your phone can record in 4K. And overall, the cameras on these two new phones are gonna be very powerful. So expect vlogs from those phones whenever I do get them. The iPhone 10 does not come out till November 3rd. I believe they take pre-orders October something, like around 16 or 17. I believe they said something like that. So you can pre-order it, but it won't be available till November. My sister wasn't planning to get the iPhone and just upgrading in general until mid-October, so me and her might as well wait till the iPhone 10 comes out and just go from there. Overall, it was a really solid, event. I really enjoyed it, thoroughly. They gave us a good amount of features that are new, that are not, for example, on the Note 8. And honestly, this new iPhone is the new revolution of phones. And it's pretty crazy to even think, because now you can just pick up your phone and it'll unlock. If your eyes are closed, it won't unlock. Just a lot to it that you would have to watch in order to understand. But just understand that there's facial recognition. You can record in 4K. The screen is full size. iOS 11 basically is set up on iPhone 10, so you don't really have to use your home button. You could just basically swipe up. As soon as it sees your face, it'll unlock. And there's just like a lot of cool little features throughout it all that are definitely bringing me into the mix. And overall, I'm very excited for this new phone. It's about time I start saving up for it, basically, because it is $1,000 and that's a lot of money. So I basically have time now to start saving up for it, so whenever it comes November 3rd, I can actually get the phone itself and go from there. Overall, these next few months are going to be definitely fun and exciting times, so expect a follow-up video whenever I do get that phone in a few months. And go check out the live event if you haven't.